If you've ever wondered how moving where the increases on your shawl are changes the shape, well, this is the video for you. In this Ask a Knitter video today, we're going to take a look at crescent-shaped shawls, biasing shawls, semicircular shawls, and how you'd wear each of those, and also how moving those increases around can totally change the actual shape of the shawl. So come on in, let's take a look at the video today. First up, we're going to take a look at crescent shape. Let's take a look at the crescent-shaped shawl or extended wing. You're going to start, you can do this in a couple of different ways. You'll have usually a few stitches for a garter tab here. You can do a similar to a triangle with increases down each side every right side row. Then instead of just having one increase out along the wings, you can have two every right side row. So it means that instead of creating that triangle that we used to have before, you're extending this section out on each side to create this curve up here by having one extra increase up along here. Now you can also even do this where you have all of the increases at the side and none in the middle. It will tend to kind of pucker a little bit more here, but what you'll have three increases here and three increases here to create a curve, more of a curve as you go along there. But it will ultimately have the same number of stitches here regardless of whether you have one of the increases or two of the increases here or all of the increases along the edge. So there's a version of it here where this is Juniper wings, where if I hold the end up, can you see it's not terribly deep, but it's got this huge big extended wing, and it gets very long and very curved. So it's got this lovely curved edge. And that is because of the increases up here. So you're going to have a couple on the right side row, and then you also will have one on the wrong side row. So it's going to be every two rows, you're going to have three increases on each side. So it creates this huge, big curved effect. When you keep it to the side, it actually allows you to create all of that stitch pattern across the middle, and then you're only worried about adding it in at the side. One of the things I love about this shawl shape is it's going to be very long, and when you wear it, it flows over your shoulders very easily, but it's not too deep. So if you're more of a scarf wearer than a shawl wearer, then the extended wing or the crescent-shaped shawls are definitely going to be for you. I've got a few more variations or versions of it here. This is possibly one of my all-time favorites. Here we go, let me move this over. It's the half moon shawl. There's both a fingering weight version, and this one is the sports weight version. And you can see if I hold it here, how the ends of it just kind of curl around in on itself because there's so much weight. So it's got this lovely weight to the end of it. So it does feel a little bit like putting a cardigan over yourself. So again, I'll attempt to put this on over here without knocking too much. Let me step back so that you can see, look how much wing I've got to fling over here. So it's a very wearable shape, very comfortable. It does take a lot more yarn because the increases start coming out really very far is the best way of putting it. So be aware of that. If you're doing a crescent shaped shawl, the extension tends to come out quite far, but it is a gorgeous one to wear. One more version of it here. Here's the Mylio, where you've got the extensions on the, look at, this is even added to because you've got all those lovely curls on the end where there's just a small bit of increases. So you've got increases down each side of the lace panel in the middle, and you've got them on the side. So this one I think is one of my favorite shapes probably. If I had to just knit one shape, I'd probably end up going for that one. Yeah, I really do like it. The other one, the next step on that is actually kind of interesting. If you've knit a circular yoke sweater, you'll know that you're doing all of your increases in particular rounds as you go along. So you'll have all your increases, then you'll have sections where there are nothing. So a circular shawl or a semicircular shawl, which is half of the circle. This, if you wanted a full circle, is going to be the entire thing, just this doubled on both sides. It'll start, as with a lot of the other shawls, right in the middle here with just a few stitches. When you do your increases, you're going to increase, first of all, like every second stitch all the way along here. And then the next set of increases will be quite close up along here, moving one, it'll be every second stitch this time. And then you're going to double the space between them for your increases. Then you move out twice here and you can see the increases are spaced out, and then you move out again, double the previous. So whatever distance is here, you've got double here, and it'll space out a bit further as well. This will give you nice big stretches in between each of those increases to do interesting stitch patterns, but you do need to watch out with your blocking because it will tend to pucker around here, so it will require quite aggressive blocking. So let me open, this is the quilted feather, and if I hold it out, you can see it is a semicircle, and all of those increases are happening in these rows. Then you have this lovely section where you get to go do the pattern, another increase, and then it doubles out so that you don't, I think maybe that might actually be the last increase. So you've got them, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 increase rounds with the last one here, because this section here is going to be doubled up here, and then the edge is knitted from side to side. But you can see how it wants to kind of pucker a little across here. So blocking is what's going to give this one its shape. But it's fantastic for more complex lace patterns because of the fact that you have all of those stitches with no increases in them, and then you can do the increase afterwards. So very, very good one for more complex patterns. Now, here, the very final we're going to take a look at now is biased shawl shapes. So the first one here, where you start down here and you're working increases out along the side here. So that's going to look the same as a triangle from the bottom up like this. However, with the bias, you're also doing decreases on this side, but more slowly. So it means that this side, instead of going straight up here, will actually be leaning very slowly out across here. So you're going to end up with a line of increases here, a line of decreases here. So your whole shawl is going to actually tilt over this way, because when you've got decreases, it tends to tilt them this way, and increases tilts them this way. So your final row is going to be off like this. So it's going to bias the whole thing. So instead of having stitch patterns across like this, it's going to have them all sloped as you go along. Similar over here with this one, where we've got the starting point here, you've got decreases here and increases on each side. It means that all of these are pointing down. So it's going to be, all your stitch patterns will be sloping down this way. So it'll create these biased angles for all of the patterns along here because of this decrease here and increases along here. When you reach the end here, this is the shape you're going to have. This will be one line from here to here to here. It's going to give you a little V. And if you don't want to leave it with this gap open, the way to close this is you keep doing those decreases along there, but from here to fill this in, you go and you do decreases along here as well. Same on this side, from here to here, you're going to do decreases along this side. So you'll have 2 sets of decreases here and 2 here, and it fills this whole triangle in here for you. So there's a couple of different ways of doing it. The one that I'm quite fond of is the kind of extended scarf bias. I'll pull this one out. This is, I got it tucked in here. This is the Grianchloch Shawl, which was a knit along we did this year. And it is a version of the biased shawl where you start at a tip here, and you're increasing very slowly, so it's only, you're increasing every row on one end, and then you're also decreasing on the other side. So what that does is it creates this bias effect where it's tilting to the side. So it keeps it very shallow, but you see the very end here, this is your bind off, and you can see how long that is. But because the whole thing is tilted, it's all kind of on its side, so to speak, because it's biased. You can actually vary the rate of increase versus the rate of decrease if you want to add a little bit more depth. So perhaps you might have your decrease every second or every second row or every fourth row rather than every second row, so that it doesn't bias quite as so much, and that's going to give you a wider shawl with slightly less slope in it. And the other form of bias is, this is another variation on this that I can show you. Nothing beats being able to see shawls, I think. This one is the Russler Shawl. Same thing, you start over here in the tip, you come all the way across here, and the end of it here is where this is the very final bind off down along here. So same thing, bind off is nice and long. And the last one I wanted to show you was my Neon Skyline, which is again a biased shawl, but it's done differently because it starts in the middle and it is creating the bias by decreasing in the middle and increasing out each side. So you're creating this arrow effect all the way up to here. Oop. And then when you get to the end, you see how it's filled in? You do that by continuing those decreases here, but then on the other ends, instead of increasing, you're decreasing. So you're closing that triangle in together. So it is also biased. All of the shaping is happening due to increases and decreases, and you can control how wide it gets by how frequently you're increasing versus decreasing. So those are like some of the more straightforward or the more common types of shawl shapes. If you missed the first one in the series, you can go back and take a look at the initial shawl shapes I was looking at. We'll put down ideas for all of the different shawls I've shown here, so you can kind of decide which shape is going to suit you depending on how you like to wear it. Do you like to wrap it over your shoulder? Do you like to wrap it around like a scarf? And so think about longer wings are going to be good if you like to wrap it like a scarf. If you want to just put it over your shoulders and you like it nice and deep, then something like a triangular shawl might work better because you're going to more depth, or possibly the semicircular. So think about how you wear it and the kind of stitch patterns that you want to feature, and then you can go from there. So enjoy knitting your next shawl.